Hi everyone, I'm Philip James and this is my progressive podcast. So I've got an interesting text message today. It's from an old friend of mine called John. Everyone in the UK is called John Smith or something. I was on tramadol, a painkiller, coupled with a very strong antidepressant due to the surgery on my lung and my son Sam's issues with brain cancer. Neither actually had any much effect, and I was working on a site where drug tests are used. Since leaving there, I was able to stop all my prescriptions and use cannabis, which has stopped my anxiety, stopped my pain in my chest, massively reduced my autistic traits, and generally makes me feel a million times better without the damage caused by the prescription pills. It says that also stopping the prescription costs to the NHS is a win-win unless the Conservatives change their views come the next election. I will not be voting for them, sorry. Well, you really don't need to apologise to me, John, because I will not be voting for the Tories ever again either. You know what, there's a satisfaction that comes out of saying that I used to vote Tory and I don't anymore, because actually have it progressive again is that you can make sure that your party endorses the most progressive movements out there. So for example, the Extinction Rebellion momentum have really got behind that, and I think that's great because it shows that debate in the UK at the moment is very stagnant compared to everywhere else, which seems to be really moving ahead with this industry. And we need to just really consolidate all our progressive policies together. So that's why I'm trying to organise an event where maybe North Wales Social Cannabis Club can meet up with their counterpart version of Momentum, and hopefully then we can get the Momentum delegates to make sure that our progressive policies do get through to the Labour leadership. So I'll just show you a clip of where one of these Extinction Rebellion protests have happened and Momentum have shown up and voiced their support for it.
Politicians don't care and they do nothing. And that's always puzzled me. Why do they do nothing? It's not just because they like it that way. It's because they need it that way. More than that, they need us. They need us to buy their goods, to vote for them, to work for them, to make their wealth and build their power. But you know what? We sure as hell do not need them. We have the power, not them. Right now, my anger and sadness is turning into hope and determination. The same hope and determination that I see etched on the faces of every single person here. I've started to think about a world where we create value together, where we share.
Candidate in the US 2020 election doing, Tulsi Gabbard, she's made the debate stage, which is absolutely brilliant, but it still doesn't mean we're out of the danger area in terms of the DNC cheating and putting a corporate Democrat as the nominee, which is, of course, just asking for another Trump victory. And we've got to get rid of Trump, but not because he's a Republican, but because he's a symptom of a larger problem. And that problem is that the establishment in the US, they have far too much hubris on their ability to, with trying to force Hillary Clinton down our throats. You know, that should be a serious lesson to them. And it's good to see that this time round Hillary isn't there, for one. But also, even though they keep on trying to not cover Tulsi Gabbard's campaign because they know that it's going to be so popular and it would get rid of their corporate agenda. The thing I feel bad for Tulsi Gabbard, though, is that she's always being asked the same questions, and it's a filibuster because every single show that she goes on mainstream media, they always ends. So this clip that I'm going to show, it's nothing new in terms of, oh, this is a brilliant interview with Tulsi Gabbard. This is like a new one. It's basically, it's a new interview that has used all the same questions that she's been asked throughout her entire campaign. And the reason I think that this is a filibuster is because they're trying to use this time before the debates to smear her campaign, so that when she does go on the debate stage, they can then just keep asking these stupid questions over again and just waste her time. And the only thing that I think Tulsi can do to combat that is to just use her patience and her good communication skills to circumvent their distractions, because she's already gotten quite good at answering these repeated questions faster and faster, because they're old questions that we've got to get out of the way of the rest of the 2020 race. If you're in the US and you're watching like mainstream media, like it could be anything, it could be like MSNBC, it could be CNN, Fox News, whatever. If Tulsi Gabbard goes on a news show, they're always going to ask the same question. All the news reporters are going to be basically given a script that is designed to try and wear her campaign down, and thankfully it's not working, because it's just turning her into what I would consider a cult candidate. So I've experienced cults in that I'm a Depeche Mode fan, so I can listen to my mates at work take the mick out of me for liking Depeche Mode, but then I can go to a completely sold out tour. It is that when I leave those shows, I don't know where all of those other people go.
A soldier, a Hindu, and a surfer. Tulsi Gabbard made waves when she arrived in Congress. Now the millennial from Hawaii has her sights set on the White House. She says her campaign is focused on war and peace.
Every one of us is paying the price for these regime change wars.
Her critics say she can sound more like President Trump than a progressive Democrat.
I believe Trump said something similar when he was running. Did he not? Am I wrong about that?
He may have, but the problem is he has not carried through.
No.
And some want to know why she took that meeting with a brutal dictator.
You got some heat for meeting with Bashar al-Assad. Do you not consider him a war criminal? Why did you meet with that man?
In the pursuit of peace.
What does Tulsi Gabbard say now? Welcome to Firing Line, Tulsi
Thank
Gabbard.
you very much.
And aloha. A soldier, a Hindu, and a surfer. Tulsi Gabbard made waves when she arrived in Congress. Now the millennial from Hawaii has her sights set on the White House. She says her campaign is focused on war and peace.
Every one of us is paying the price for these regime change wars.
Her critics say she can sound more like President Trump than a progressive Democrat.
I believe Trump said something similar when he was running. Did he not? Am I wrong about that?
He may have, but the problem is he has not carried through.
No.
And some want to know why she took that meeting with a brutal dictator.
You got some heat for meeting with Bashar al-Assad. Do you not consider him a war criminal? Why did you meet with that man?
In the pursuit of peace.
What does Tulsi Gabbard say now? Welcome to Firing Line, Tulsi
Thank
Gabbard.
you very much.
And aloha. A soldier, a Hindu, and a surfer. Tulsi Gabbard made waves when she arrived in Congress. Now the millennial from Hawaii has her sights set on the White House. She says her campaign is focused on war and peace.
Every one of us is paying the price for these regime change wars.
Her critics say she can sound more like President Trump than a progressive Democrat.
I believe Trump said something similar when he was running. Did he not? Am I wrong about that?
He may have, but the problem is he has not carried through.
No.
And some want to know why she took that meeting with a brutal dictator.
You got some heat for meeting with Bashar al-Assad. Do you not consider him a war criminal? Why did you meet with that man?
In the pursuit of peace.
What does Tulsi Gabbard say now? Welcome to Firing Line, Tulsi
Thank
Gabbard.
you very much.
And aloha.
With those mainstream media people, it's always going to be the same few questions coming to Tulsi, so it'll always be the sort of, why did you meet with Assad? Are you some kind of terrorist sympathizer? Something ridiculous. It's almost similar to, similar to the absolutely ridiculous critique that the right-wing media and the moderate media in the UK, or liberal media, the way that they tackle Jeremy Corbyn, it's the same thing. They keep on red scaring, where they'll just make ridiculous comparisons and suggestive work, like trying to suggest that Jeremy Corbyn is a communist when he's not. He's a democratic socialist. And we see this in the US and in the UK. It's the same red scare tactic that the right wing like to use to scare people away from voting for a progressive. And they use these terms quite effectively because they're the most commonly known words. You learn about communism in school, and it's always negative stuff generally. Unless you've got Richard Wolff as a teacher. The reason why this is largely the reason why I stick to independent media on YouTube now. In the UK, I know that if I watch Sky News, then there's going to be a certain bias there. Whereas if I go onto YouTube and watch Jimmy Dore, he's a comedian, but he's going to be telling me the news correctly. I won't be able to find it correct anywhere else. And in the UK, it's the same with, like the news we have. BBC News, they're incredibly biased. So I'll leave it there then, and please check in the description if you like this video to support me on Patreon. So I can improve this content and follow the other podcasters developing theirs. And also let me know if you want me to cover specific aspects of UK or US politics, maybe even what's happening in the UK with the cannabis movement, because obviously I'm heavily involved with it. So yeah, please start interacting and send a few messages, and I'll start changing my content to deal with those questions.